morning. I'm Charles Kuralt, and this is Sunday Morning. The bells tell the news this morning of a return to life. And in one place on this earth, there is reason for hope that the miracle announced by the bells may come to pass once more. If ever a city can be said to have suffered crucifixion, Sarajevo is that city. But look, Sarajevo is not dead. Barry Peterson will report our cover story this morning.
The streets of Sarajevo were once raked by snipers and shell fire. This bridge in the heart of the city was once a front line. Now, it's a link for families separated by 2 years of war. Easter is the season of resurrection, and perhaps no one wants that more than the people of Sarajevo. Theirs is a springtime of hope after 2 years of war, and theirs is the story we will tell you later on Sunday morning.
A reason for hope. We hope. Other signs of spring are in the air, too. One of them is a leather sphere, white in color, curiously stitched, designed to be thrown and then struck by a bat. Good luck to the batter, though, if the pitcher is Charlie Huff, old master of the pitch that perplexes. Lift every voice is a chance to hear a heavenly chorus on earth. Did you ever wonder what would happen if singers from all over the world lifted their voices in song together? That happened last night in Atlanta, Georgia. Joy was the result. We'll celebrate Easter with the World Choir a little later on. Bill Geist will be along with an appreciation of fiendish fun, the cartoons of Charles Addams. Eugenia Zuckerman will be here too. She will have a profile of a performer whose instrument is intelligence, the actress Claire Bloom. John Leonard has found a network television show he really likes. And Bob Simon will join us from Israel. I'll ask him whether he sees any progress along the booby-trapped road to peace in the Middle East. I'll look at sports and the weather and a milepost by which to remember last week after the headlines for Easter Sunday, the 3rd of April. In Israel this morning, authorities finally tracked down and arrested the leader of one of the two groups of Jewish extremists the government outlawed last month. A former member of one of those groups murdered 30 Palestinians at a mosque in Hebron. Baruch Martel, who was arrested near his West Bank home, was unarmed and did not resist. Israeli law permits authorities to hold him without trial for 3 months. Betty Furness has died at the age of 78. She had several careers as movie actress, television spokeswoman for Westinghouse, Consumer Affairs Director for the White House of Lyndon Johnson, later for New York State and New York City, and then consumer reporter for NBC. She was a stylish and generous woman. With her husband, Leslie Midgley, former CBS News producer, Betty Furness had a lot of friends around here. There cannot be more poignant Easter services anywhere this morning than in Piedmont, Alabama. In Piedmont, 1 week ago today, on Palm Sunday, a tornado struck a church and killed 20 people, including 6 children. This morning, in sight of the wreckage of the church that was destroyed, the people of Piedmont gathered to sing and pray.
Termites. This is going to cost a fortune.
We should have called the Orkin man.
The exterminator.
Even a little termite damage can cost a lot. For less than it costs to fix this beam, you can protect your entire home with the Orkin man. He destroys termites and makes sure they never return. Guaranteed.
They won't be back.
Orkin. One call destroys them all.
Are you getting hungry?
Yeah.
Why don't we have some shrimp?
Ooh, fresh seafood. We are at the coast. Hey, what if we steam some crabs?
I'd rather have shrimp. We could bake some great-tasting sea-pack shrimp.
Good idea.
So, which would you like? Popcorn shrimp or butterfly?
How about both?
Now you can have great-tasting shrimp like you get at the coast. Sea-pack. Bakes in just 10 minutes.
Chang, the best the world has to offer at an affordable price. Only at Keys to Music, Rivers, and Ashley Phosphate.
Hi, I'm Mike Hyatt, and coming up on Monday's midday program, I'll be on vacation, but Stacy and Charlie will be filling in for me. If you remember the scene at 1, then you'll want to tune in for sure for a trip down memory lane. Stacy and Charlie, Andrea and Bill will all be here to bring you the latest news, weather, and local happenings. So be sure to tune in for midday. As always, live right here on Charleston's Channel 5.
Maybe it helps to have the President of the United States in the stands cheering for you. It also helps to have a great player like Corliss Williamson picking off passes and scoring 29 points. Whatever it was, Arkansas won its first trip to the championship game of college basketball yesterday with a stirring win over Arizona, 91-82.
The difference. Nolan Richardson will play for the championship Monday night.
Duke, on the other hand, has been in the championship game 3 times in the last 4 years. Make that 4 times in the last 5 years. Duke came from behind to beat Florida 70-65. So the college basketball season comes down to 2 teams, Duke and Arkansas, in the championship game on Monday night.
The Clark 3.
North Carolina and Louisiana Tech will play for the women's championship today on CBS. It was a nippy Easter sunrise around the Great Lakes, and we don't expect the temperature to rise out of the 40s there today, from Milwaukee to Detroit to Buffalo. It's going to be a cool Sunday pretty nearly everywhere except the South and the Southwest. Easter rain bonnets will be in fashion from the Gulf Coast right up the spine of the Appalachian Mountain Range and on into New England. Sunny on the southeastern coast and in most of the middle of the country today. It'll feel like the return of winter in the northern Rockies. California will be dry, but very windy. Tomorrow, the eastern rainstorm will be blowing out to sea, though it may be late afternoon tomorrow before people on the New England coast see blue skies. The northern Rockies and the upper Great Lakes may have an April snowfall tomorrow. Rain showers will fall from Utah across to Iowa. Sunny and breezy on the west coast tomorrow. William Natcher died last week at the age of 84. It may be that you don't know who William Natcher was. You should. He was, by an actual measurement, the most faithful public servant this country's ever had. It is recorded here in the Guinness Book of Records that William Natcher, Congressman of Kentucky from 1954 on, never once failed to be present when a vote was called for in the House of Representatives. For 40 years, William Natcher represented the people of the 2nd District of Kentucky by consecutively casting on their behalf 18,401 votes, more by far than anyone ever had before him, and more surely than anyone else ever will cast. This book is full of stunts, of course, but the record of William Natcher was no stunt. It was the result of an unshakable, lifelong dedication to the plainest principle of democracy. However mundane the matter, it has to be voted on, or the people have had no voice. In 20 elections, William Natcher never made a political commercial. He never accepted a campaign contribution from anybody. He paid his own expenses out of his own pocket. William Natcher cast his last vote early in March, number 18,401, from a hospital bed that had been wheeled into the House of Representatives. A lot of us would like to be able to say at the end of the day that we did as much as we could. I think if ever I'm tempted to say that, I'll remember William Natcher first, and then make some other claim instead.
Retirement years should be secure years. That's why Merrill Lynch has a gerontologist to help us understand the social, emotional, and financial needs these years bring. That extra insight can make a difference between seeking security and finding it. The difference is Merrill Lynch.
Chemistry is the practice of magic. People think of Teflon and they think of frying pans. Teflon is not one thing. Putting Teflon on a surface will stop bugs from crawling up trees. They'll fall right off the tree. Teflon as a chain loop is something I've come up with for bicycles. You know, only DuPont makes Teflon. And you can use it in satellites, on fabrics, or leather. When's the last time you heard about a leather raincoat? You can let your imagination run wild. It's not often that you get to make something new in this world.
Dear Midas, as I brake to avoid hitting the nice lady in front of me, I heard an awful clunking noise. I was truly frightened. I called Midas and was told,
"You can bring it right down."
Jack inspected my brakes, explained the problem,
It's your brake pads,
and gave me my options. I also found the warranty on brake pads a comforting bonus. Now my brakes work like a charm. Thank you, Catherine Catania.
New H40 irons from Hogan. Once you start playing them, it's hard to stop.
Sarajevo was a beautiful city, upward tending, full of steeples and domes and minarets. Sarajevo visibly aspired to the sky. The towers of Sarajevo mostly have been flattened now by bombs and mortar shells, and the people have fallen too. The dead on their backs as victims, and the living on their bellies, waiting. What can be left in such a city? Reason to Hope is our cover story this morning, reported by Barry Peterson.
It is springtime in Sarajevo after 2 years of war. The children of Sarajevo are happy, and they know it, because they know misery even better.
I know so many children that never left. Not only their flats, but their shelters. I mean, the basements, the cellars. And now everybody's out.
What they're happiest about is struja, electricity, and happy to see their city.
They have never seen a tram. When they see a tram, "Oh, Mommy, what is this?" Mommy say, "It's a tram, baby. It's so sorry."
They still run in Sarajevo, but not from bullets or shells. Electricity is back on. Most people have water. Mail delivery has started again. The old Muslim hilltop cemetery is no longer a sniper's killing field. Healing the wounds of war begins at a downtown bridge with an unlikely name, Brotherhood and Unity. A fragile agreement between Serbs and Bosnians allows a lucky few to cross each day. Ismeta Palija was separated from her family 2 years ago when the front line sliced through the city block by block, dividing it like some sort of Berlin Wall. It's a day her daughter Lilia feared would never come. There's a surprise for her. Grandson Dima has let his hair grow. He looks like a girl, says an exasperated Lilia. And Ismeta's purse is stuffed with gifts, including coffee and smuggled cigarettes. And she shows off new money now used in Serb-controlled territory. Is there food available in Sarajevo? No. But the most important thing, says Lilia, is that we no longer fear for our lives. There is so much to catch up on, so little time. The authorities demand that Ismeta return across the bridge by 2 p.m. back to Serb-controlled Sarajevo. Mother and daughter promise to raise the blinds each day if all is well. They can see each other's apartment across the front line. They do not know when they will see each other again. Everyone in this city knows about separation. Even 13-year-old Addis Pita, whose makeshift school is held in a basement.
About 99% of my friends are on Serbian side, and I didn't see them for almost 2 years.
It is a city still surrounded, still in Serb gun sights. Sonata Kreso works for the Bosnian government.
On that hill, they're on those hills all over there.
The Turks once controlled the city from a hillside. The Austrians did the same from their fort. Now, the Serbs.
You can walk freely. You can, there are moments that you think you can do whatever you want, but then reality would sober you up. And then again, I can't do whatever I want. I would like to go to Rome now. I can't. I would like to make a call to my friend in Zagreb. I can't. So it's not peace yet. It's still, we are still besieged. We are still around.
And sometimes still shooting. This man was wounded a few days ago when he went onto his balcony to adjust the TV antenna. But most think the worst is over, even if the memories remain. Zahida Sabanovich remembers, I fainted the night that shell hit so close to my window, she says. But how does she feel about the future now? And everywhere, there is the sound of spring planting. She's putting in flowers amid her vegetable crop. He's concentrating on things like parsley and onions. The gardens meant survival these past 2 years. Sarajevo survived because its people wanted to keep alive a multi-ethnic city where different religions, Muslims, Christians, Jews, prayed within blocks of each other. Where Svitlana Griasagono could grow up in a mixed marriage, Protestant and Catholic. Her friends, Shira and Amra, are sisters who are Muslim.
38% of people in our town are from mixed marriage, as I know.
The choir practices for Easter service.
The same number of members is the same number all of this time. all during these 2 years. We are together. Maybe some people left choir, but nobody have died. I live here 30 years. I finished my school, music academy. I find my husband here, and I will stay here. I'm happy here.
The pain runs deep. The destruction is everywhere. Schools, hospitals, but nowhere so thorough as the city's cultural icon, its library. Sonata Cresso.
I'll never forget that day. They never stopped shelling until, they were sure that it was completely destroyed. Set ablaze and destroyed. That's it. I mean, whatever is civilized, whatever is related to the culture, they hate.
Sonata Cresso. She and the people of Sarajevo know this is the season of resurrection.
It looks like devastated, but we'll find a way to reconstruct it, to rebuild it. If we found a way to resist and not to, not to get, they didn't see to drive us crazy, then we'll find ways to rebuild it. So the city will live.
The Nissan Altima has more front headroom than a Mercedes E320. It also has more rear headroom, more rear leg room, and more overall room. Yet it's priced $20,000 less, which means with this luxury sedan, you'll be able to add a room. The Nissan Altima. It's time to expect more from a car.
Yes, nice. Very nice. Ooh, weeds. Just what I need.
Actually, what you need is Ortho Weed Be Gone.
Weed Be who?
Weed Be Gone gets rid of all kinds of weeds without burning your lawn.
Just like that.
Yep, just like that. Ortho Weed Be Gone for a lovely weed-free lawn.
Yes, lovely. Hey, got any Moby Gone? Sick of cutting this thing.
Ortho, you're working too hard without us.
Hurry! 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 We're gonna miss the boat!
Both Visa and American Express Gold cards can get you to Great Guana Cay in the Bahamas. But should there be trouble in paradise,
Honey, we missed the boat. Whoa!
What'll we do
only
now?
Visa Gold can come to your rescue because the only hotel on Great Guana Cay doesn't take American Express.
I know that guy.
Visa Gold, it's everywhere you want to be.
Harry.
See tomorrow's March Madness stars today. The McDonald's All-American High School basketball game Sunday on CBS.
The living legends of the sport, plus celebrity competitors, take to the slopes in the American Ski Classic, Sunday on CBS.
A game in a pool turns into tragedy when two brothers are suddenly shocked by an electric charge.
I wasn't going to be able to separate them by touching him.
An all-new 911 Tuesday. This is CBS.
You always see so many Sea Rays on the water, and that's because the Sea Ray owner enjoys the quality of a superior boat. Sea Ray of Charleston offers over 60 models to choose from, like the Laguna Fishing Series, bow riders, cuddy cabins, fish and ski, or the 55-foot luxury yachts in all the sizes in between. Sea Rays are powered by the dependable Merc Cruiser and Mercury outboards. So come to Sea Ray of Charleston and join the others on the water that already know that if it's not a Sea Ray, you've missed the boat.
patio and outdoor design center at Morris Sokol Furniture.
The Augusta National Golf Club in Augusta, Georgia, home of the Masters since 1934, will once again play host to the greatest golfers in the world. Hi, everybody. Warren Pepper inviting you to join Live 5 Sports live from Augusta for the recap of the day's events at 6 and 11 beginning April 5th. The Masters is considered to be America's most prestigious gathering of golfers and is expected to be led this year by defending champion Bernhard Langer. Join Live 5 Sports beginning April 5th at 6 and 11 live from the Masters. Going to Carolina, live from Charlotte, Monday at 8:30.
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Charles Kuralt.
And it's time to hear from John Leonard. Good morning, John.
Good morning, Charles. As a very young man, I volunteered to teach several nights a week in the attic of a church, in the craters of a bombed-out inner city, in a classroom full of children who had been discarded by the public school system, crumpled up and thrown away, as if they were defective copies in a trial run on the great social Xerox machine. What amazed me most about these kids was their willingness to believe I knew what I was doing. This was in the 60s, with the Peace Corps and Vista, when we made it up as we went along, before we all grew up to be go-go and greedy. But the idea is as old as the Republic. You can't afford to waste a single child, and the privileged young invest themselves, and everybody learns how little we really know about each other. It's the idea that animated Catherine Marshall's lovely novel, Christie, back in 1967. And out of that novel, they've made a television series, starting tonight with a 2-hour pilot on CBS and settling into a weekly slot next Thursday. I hope it runs forever. Kelly Martin, who grew up as Becca in the series Life Goes On, is Christy, an idealistic 19-year-old who leaves genteel Asheville, North Carolina in 1912 to teach in a missionary school in the Appalachian Mountains. There to assist her in her own education are Stuart Finley McLennan as the widowed doctor who gives her a dress to wear.
Thank you, it's perfect.
And Randall Battenkoff as the handsome young minister who started the school.
Has anybody ever told you that your hair smells like roses?
And Tyne Daly
Mr. Taylor,
as a gun-toting Quaker surprise.
It's common knowledge that I'm a better shot than you. Or your boys. I think it's time you went home.
Opal.
And Tess Harper as the mountain woman, Fairlight Spencer, who has less to do tonight than she will on Thursday.
Just the way things is.
Plus, of course, the children, all 12 grades of them, as young as 5 or older than Christy. Sleepy because they got up before dawn. Barefoot because they can't afford shoes. A girl child who can't talk. Hogs under the floorboards. And a pet raccoon.
And that Thor's scalawag.
Christy Huddleston, who are you?
I wish I knew.
All right, then, here's a question to sleep on. Were you meant to come here to serve and to work? Or are you only running away from home?
I wonder, Lundy.
Tonight, Christy's failure to understand the local moonshine culture will cause her school to burn down.
Prince Charles Edward decided to win back the throne of England and Scotland for the
Thursday,
Stuarts.
having acquainted the class with where they come from, with Bonnie Prince Charlie and the Scottish Highlands, she will have to depend on a ghost to save a child. Christy's young, but all of us learn. The writer is Patricia Green. The executive producers are Ken Wales and Barney Rosenzweig from Cagney and Lacey. And the heart aches for all the mistakes to come for Christy, of misapprehension and condescension, of quick temper and quicker despair, of huge ambition and modest results and terrible doubts and romantic entanglements. But one of these children is secretly reading David Copperfield. Another will grow up to write his own novels. A third, perhaps, will invest herself in passionate teaching. And out of moonshine, history lessons, bagpipes, cartwheels, cabinet making, and an axe, we make the music of the Republic.
There are those who say that America is having a hard time getting off the ground. They say that the American spirit no longer soars. That the American worker no longer rises to the occasion. And that American companies no longer reach for the stars. But we'll just continue to introduce evidence that says otherwise.
Every day, they work the land to make the world a better place. And may be the world's most active environmentalists, because they know their responsibility goes beyond just their plot of land. And producing a safe and abundant supply of food is pretty important. They don't just have their eye on a time clock, but on the future. They are America's farmers, and the land is their legacy.
I want to tell you about my home far away. My mother and father are there.
Strengthening the links of communications requires capital. In the last 3 years, Merrill Lynch raised over $50 billion for communications companies around the globe. We connect investors to opportunities and the people of the world to each other. For them, it makes a difference. The difference is Merrill Lynch.
The pitch that perplexes is our salute to the start of the baseball season this weekend. Here's a little quiz. Which active Major League pitcher has won the most games? Jack Morris, Dwight Gooden, or Roger Clemens? Which player put in the most years in the big leagues? Lou Gehrig, Cal Ripken, or Pete Rose? The answer to each of the above is none of the above. The answer to both questions is Charlie Huff.
It's hard to do. Not too many people in the world know how to teach it. Who can tell you how to throw a knuckleball, what it feels like to throw a knuckleball?
It darts and it dances, and nobody in the ballpark knows what it'll do on the way to the plate, including the guy who throws it. It is baseball's most tantalizing pitch, the knuckleball.
The whole idea of a knuckleball is to throw a ball that doesn't spin. Goes up there, dead.
That's Hoyt Wilhelm, the dean of the knuckleball pitchers, the first of that small band of practitioners to make it to baseball's Hall of Fame. And this is one of his protégés, Charles Oliver Huff of the Florida Marlins.
My second year that I threw a knuckleball, I got to play with Hoyt and changed the grip, changed my delivery a little bit, copied some of the things he did.
It's not a knuckleball in the sense of the word. It's actually a fingertip
The
ball,
year
really,
was
the way I throw it.
1970. Wilhelm was at the end of a remarkable career. Charlie Huff was a young pitcher with a sore arm and not much hope for a bright future.
But it was tremendous for me because I had no clue what I was doing. I could throw a decent knuckleball, but I had no idea how to pitch with it, and he taught me how to pitch with it.
Hip flexor, left leg forward.
Right knee, hip flexor, left leg.
And for a quarter of a century, Charlie Huff has been the most durable pitcher in baseball. This spring marks his 25th season in the big leagues.
If I didn't have these real long legs, it would be easy.
He is 46 years old.
It's like a childhood dream to ever get to play a game in the big leagues. And I was one of those borderline prospect type guys and got lucky, came up with a pitch that very few people can throw, and you know, I still really can't believe it that I've played this long.
The traffic lights, they turn blue tomorrow.
Take a look around the Florida clubhouse to see how long it's been.
The tiny island says,
How young do your teammates look to you, Charlie?
They're much closer to my kids' age than my age. I relate more with the staff ages, the manager and our coaches, and I'm about 10 years older than our general manager, so I tend to relate more to that era guy than the guy today, but being around these guys keeps you young.
Yeah, you can lose them, though, easy, watch. You can lose the guys easy.
Both Charlie Huff and Hoyt Wilhelm seem to have tapped into Ponce de Leon's fountain. Wilhelm, now 70 years old, is a minor league pitching coach for the Yankees. He pitched in more than 1,000 games before he was done, a major league record. And he was still pitching until 1 month shy of his 49th birthday, he was released by his 9th big league team. People were always giving up on him, a fact not lost in his message to today's prospects.
But hey, just because this organization's given up on you, it's not 100% sure. I mean, nobody can be 100% sure, because I'm a living example. I was released off of a Class D club one time, which was the bottom rung in professional baseball. I was released off of that club, and they took me back in about 3 weeks, and I wound up pitching my way to the Hall of Fame.
And the pitch that got him there was the knuckleball. Why don't all pitchers throw the knuckleball?
I don't think anybody can really teach it. I mean, I can show a guy how I did it. I can show him how I did it. But like I said before, when you tell a guy to double his fingers up like that and try to throw that ball after he's thrown it all his life like that, it's just very difficult.
It is also against the grain. Baseball scouts are looking for the young pitcher with a 90-mile-an-hour fastball, not a 60-mile-an-hour tantalizer.
So nobody's looking for a guy like me. Nobody goes out and looks for a trick pitch, a knuckleball pitcher. Many managers and organizations may think that it messes you up. When you throw it right, you've got an idea that I've started it in the strike zone. I started it where I want to. And then it's kind of out of your control. Unlike any other pitch, it just might do something different every time. And that's when it's really perfection.
And that's when even the great big league hitters would rather be any place else but the batter's box.
I mean, I've thrown them where the batter has swung and missed and hit them. They think it's a strike, they swing, whack, hit them in the chest. I remember a game in Cincinnati where I hit Pete Rose and Joe Morgan back-to-back on 2 strike pitches, hit them both in the head, and they didn't call it, but I'm sure both of them swung.
Those knucklers hit them both in the head, and Charlie Huff is certain, even today, that they both struck out. Pretty hard not to laugh in situations like that.
Not at the batter. Not at the batter. I have laughed with a few of my teammates, yeah. Some of the games are fun. Playing a baseball game is pretty serious stuff, but there are times when plays happen that are just too much. I mean, you've just got to go ahead and laugh a little bit.
The Florida Marlins will pay Charlie Huff $1 million to be one of their starting pitchers this year. When he was pitching in Ogden or Santa Barbara or Albuquerque in the 60s, did he ever imagine in his wildest dreams that the knuckleball would make him a millionaire?
No. You always try it. I mean, we had the same arguments. Salary negotiations, fighting, hating the general manager, arguing back and forth. Usually nobody had agents at that time, especially in the minor leagues. You didn't have an agent. You just argued like crazy for what you were going to make. I mean, we were arguing about $100 a month or a couple $1,000s a year, and nobody cared. And there was never any media coverage of it. I mean, guys would walk out of spring training, that's it, I'm not playing baseball anymore until you give me that $100. That major league gag. Uh-huh. Ah! We were robbed. We're gonna kill you guys today. Thrashing.
Hi, folks. I'm Wayne Burdett, here to let you know we've just received our largest selection of Ram trucks this year. I'm talking short wheelbase, long wheelbase, 4x4s, half tons up to 1-ton diesel dualies. See for yourself Motor Trend's Truck of the Year. For the largest selection of Ram pickups in the Low Country, take that short drive to Burdett Chrysler Dodge, where the inventories are large, prices small, and the service #1 in South Carolina. And remember, cars are like eggs. They're cheaper in the country.
Burdett Chrysler Dodge, Monk's Corner.
Pimlico Plantation proudly introduces Pimlico West.
It doesn't take brains to choose the right tiller. Snapper is obviously the smart choice. Compared to the leading competitor, Snapper gives you a much bigger engine, bigger tires, bigger tines, and best of all, counter-rotating tines that work opposite the wheels to dig deeper into hard soil instead of walking off the job. And when you see the huge price difference, choosing a Snapper is a no-brainer.
We really feel Live 5 News is involved in the Walterboro area. They cover our football games for us.
They cover the Rice Festival.
They come for the MUSC Children's Hospital.
Everybody on Live 5 News seem like good low-country folks.
Live 5 News pays more attention to the human factor of the news.
Well, I really love the people on Live 5 News.
I believe in Channel 5 because I grew up with these people. I can trust what they're going to tell me. If Charlie Hall says it's going to rain, you better carry your umbrella.
Eugenia Zuckerman is here. Good morning, Eugenia.
Good morning, Charles. And I must say, I've loved all my Sunday mornings with you, as we all have.
Oh, it has been lovely being here with you. You know, the great Helen Hayes once told me in her old age that even she was finding it hard to find appropriate acting roles. Can you imagine? Yet Claire Bloom seems to go on and on and on.
She does. She's an enormously versatile actress who does theater, movies, television, one-woman performances. She does narration with major symphony orchestras, as she will next week with the New York Philharmonic. And she was just in San Francisco, LA, Chicago this weekend doing Russian poetry. So she does tremendous amounts of work. She is such a radiant and mesmerizing actress whose intelligence and sensitivity shines through everything she does.
I can't sit still, I can't.
This is a rehearsal of Chekhov's The Cherry Orchard in Cambridge, Massachusetts.
Laugh at me if you will. I know I'm being silly.
Its star, Claire Bloom, is one of the few actresses who has sustained a major career since her youth. Claire Bloom became a professional actress when she was just 15.
Anastasia's dead, and cross-eyed Petrushka has left us and works in town now.
Well, your first major role was Ophelia.
And that was when I was 17. Yes.
And was that enormously thrilling? Was it challenging and terrifying?
Oh, nothing was terrifying to me then.
Really?
You know, it may have become so. And I realized what I was doing, but everything to me was just part of what I expected, this great actress life that I'd invented for myself.
Claire Bloom was born in London. As a young girl during the Blitz in World War II, she was evacuated to America. When she returned home, she single-mindedly devoted herself to becoming an actress on the London stage. She was so good, she came to the attention of the legendary Charlie Chaplin, who asked her to return to America to play opposite in his film, Limelight. She became an overnight star. That must have been enormously thrilling that the great Charles Chaplin was interested in you.
I think my agent asked me, to send photographs to Chaplin of myself because he was interested in me for a movie, and I just thought it was absolutely inconceivable that that could be so. And maybe I was frightened, but I didn't send them. And then I got a telegram saying, "Where are the photographs, Charles Chaplin?" So I sent them immediately.
And making the choices that followed, the choices of work to do, you have been enormously idealistic.
Yes, I have. I mean, I sometimes think that for every movie I turn down, I should be put against the wall and shot. Because my financial life would be much more secure, etc., if I had done a lot of these things. On the other hand, along with Edith Piaf, I regret nothing because I have done what I wanted it to do.
She acted with Paul Scofield. She acted with John Gielgud. And she acted with Richard Burton.
Well, I believe that a number 11 bus will get me to Hammersmith. I do not believe it will be driven by Father Christmas.
When you worked with Burton in A Spy Who Came In From the Cold, well, what was that film like?
Oh, well, I knew it was a marvelous book. And I'd read it, of course, before it was ever offered to me, and I was thrilled that it was. You know when you're working on first-class material.
Laurence Olivier called on her to play Lady Anne in a production of Richard III that he was directing. She ended up on the cover of Life magazine.
People ask how he directed me, but I don't remember that specifically. I remember much more that the direction was just doing the scene with him, you know. And that was the inspiration.
That bereft thee, lady, of thy husband, did it to help thee to a better husband.
His better does not breathe upon the earth.
Too, he lives that loves you better than he could.
Where is he?
Here.
Out! Damn slut! Out, I say!
You've had a lifelong love affair with Shakespeare.
Yes, I guess most actors have.
Here's the smell of the blood still. All the perfumes of Arabia will not sweeten this little hand. Oh.
I mean, there it is. You can't beat it, can you? It says everything about every state of human emotion, about women, about men, about love, about death, about you name it. There's nothing that he didn't know.
Fairy King, attend and mark. I do hear the morning lark.
You are remarkably musical. I mean, there's a fiddler in your family in history, right?
Yes. Probably a fiddler in every Jewish family somewhere.
Her feeling for music has made Claire Bloom a leading choice for works that combine words and music.
Go, bid the huntsmen wake the lovers with their horns.
She appeared at Carrymore in A Midsummer Night's Dream with Andre Previn and the Orchestra of St. Luke's.
Joy, gentle friends, joy and fresh days of love accompany your hearts.
There's nothing like it in the world. It's this great machine behind you, this force, and it just catapults you into a different kind of state of mind. It's so incredibly exciting and moving.
And you'll have to cut down the cherry orchard.
Cut down the cherry orchard.
Anton Chekhov knew something about the human condition, too. His play, The Cherry Orchard, is one of Bloom's favorites.
Once be generous. Show a little pity for me.
And this recent production in Cambridge at the prestigious American Repertory Theater was a favorite of the critics.
And my grandfather, too.
When you are playing a role like Luba, am I pronouncing it right?
Yes, Luba. Means love, I believe.
Luba. Yeah. Well, when you've played her before, and yet, how do you then reapproach a play in order to keep it fresh?
I saw her then as a much more frivolous woman than I do now. Funnier, perhaps. But I realize now, perhaps it's 10 years later, and I have been buffeted about a little too, that she's a woman who has been really buffeted about by life. She's a woman who's been down into the depths and comes up again.
You look radiant, my darling. Your eyes are sparkling like diamonds. Are you happy? Very happy? Very,
What would you say is the best thing about being an actress?
Well, the best is also the worst, and that's the uncertainty. But I'm a gambler's daughter, and I think the throw of the dice is always, even at my age and perhaps older, terrifically exciting.
When I make curtsy, bid me farewell.
The CBS Evening News isn't just a place where the world comes together.
It's a place where all of our worlds come together.
Somalia, Bosnia,
Healthcare, the economy,
stories such as the flood or the hurricane.
and sometimes even a moment
It lets us all sit back and smile.
This is CBS.
In the war against termites, only one company has a weapon like this, the exterminator, the Orkin Man. Armed with the latest technology, the Orkin foam system. No termite treatment is more effective than Orkin foam. Unlike other methods, it penetrates completely to stop termites cold. Guaranteed. The exterminator, the Orkin Man. One call destroys them all.
Are you getting hungry?
Yeah. Why don't we have some shrimp?
Ooh, fresh seafood. We are at the coast. Hey, what if we steam some crabs?
I'd rather have shrimp. We could bake some great tasting sea-pack shrimp.
Good idea.
So, which would you like? Popcorn shrimp or butterfly?
How about both?
Now you can have great tasting shrimp like you get at the coast. Sea-pack. Bakes in just 10 minutes.
The world's largest circus, Under the Big Top, is back in the Low Country. The Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus is coming to Exchange Park Friday, April 8th through Sunday, April 10th for 7 big performances. And on Saturday, April 9th, make sure to join Channel 5 for WCSC TV Day during the 1:30 p.m. and 4:30 p.m. shows. Tickets are now on sale. The Clyde Beatty Cole Brothers Circus, coming to Exchange Park Friday, April 8th through Sunday, April 10th.
Happy Easter from all of us at Channel 5.
The competition included more than 100 of the world's best cars. But in the end, only one was judged a car ahead. Motor Trend's Import Car of the Year, the new Accord from Honda.
At BASF, we don't make the sneakers, we make them bouncier. We don't make the car, we make it more colorful. We don't make the leather, we make it jazzier. We don't make the helmet, we make it more comfortable. At BASF, we don't make a lot of the products you buy, we make a lot of the products you buy better. BASF.
Oh, it's so cute.
Excuse me, could you take a picture of us with photo over there?
If you take off to the Italian town of Todi, but your camera just takes off.
Where'd they go?
You better have Visa Gold, because there's not a camera store there that takes American Express.
There's a great shot.
Visa Gold, it's everywhere you want to be.
It's Sunday morning on CBS, and here again is Charles Kuralt.
Bob Simon has spent about half his life as an observer along the rocky road to Middle Eastern peace. He joins us from Tel Aviv. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning, Charles.
Well, how do things stand? What's going to happen this week?
Charles, we have a very busy post-Easter week in the Middle East, and much of it looks very promising. Within a week or so, foreign observers from Norway and Denmark and Italy will be arriving in Hebron. This was a demand of the PLO in their talks with the Israelis to give the people of Hebron some sense of protection. They'll be carrying pistols. Perhaps even more important, Palestinian police will be deployed for the very first time in Gaza and in Jericho. They will be carrying rifles and pistols. It's interesting that the march towards peace here is marked by men carrying weapons. There will also be a return of deportees, people that the Israelis deported some time ago. They'll be returning to the occupied territories. This has been a long-standing demand of the Palestinians. And the peace talks, to use that time-honored phrase, are back on track. It looks like both the Israelis and the Palestinians are very eager to conclude those talks as quickly as possible now, knowing what happened a month ago, the massacre in Hebron, something like that could happen again. They want to get the deal quickly before it has a chance of happening again. One of the Israelis involved in the talks said to me yesterday, there is definitely now light at the end of the tunnel. Of course, it could just be a train coming in the opposite direction. Like everything else here, the perils are enormous. The several hundred Israeli settlers are still living in the middle of Hebron, a continuously ticking time bomb, and all sorts of things could go wrong, but at least there is activity.
Well, is part of the activity, in view of the tenuousness you've just described, a continuation of Israeli withdrawal from Gaza, Jericho?
Gaza, Charles, I was in Gaza a couple of days ago, and even though the deal has not yet been struck, the withdrawal is proceeding. The Israelis are taking out a lot of the equipment that they have ruled Gaza with for the last 27 years. It's going out in convoys day after day. The Israelis are decreasing their forces there. The minute that an agreement is signed, the Israelis can be out within a couple of days. Of course, when that happens, this is the big question. Gaza could very easily and very quickly descend into chaos. When the PLO officially takes control of Gaza, Mr. Arafat will be presented with a choice between a rock and a hard place. Either he will go in softly, in which case a generation which has known no law other than Israeli soldiers, a generation which has sunk into utter chaos and anarchy, will continue to be such. If he comes in with a very iron fist, of course, he'll be accused of just replacing the Israelis as an occupying force. Gaza could become a very, very bloody and dangerous place. And when we talk about the peace process, I think it's something of a misnomer. What's happening actually is nothing short of a revolution, of a total rearranging of the pieces that make up the Middle East. They're all being thrown up in the air now. Nobody knows where they will land. It could be dangerous, but they had to move in the long run.
If Gaza does descend into anarchy, I suppose there'll be no shortage of Israelis to say, I told you so.
Not only will they be saying, I told you so, Charles, but even worse, the right wing is sitting there ready to say, the minute things go a little bit not exactly according to plan in Gaza, you see what happened in Gaza? We cannot withdraw from the West Bank because then the West Bank turns into another case of civil war where there are so many hundreds and thousands of Israeli settlers. The right wing is posed for that, but with all these problems, with all the difficulties ahead, I think everyone is bearing in mind, at least the government is bearing in mind, the central lesson which you don't hear about every day. And the lesson is that the occupation has proved totally unworkable, that the Israelis really, in fact, have no option. An occupation of another people, subjugation of another people in the latter half of the 20th century is just not acceptable. It hasn't worked for the Israelis. It hasn't worked for their place in the Middle East or in the wider world.
You mentioned the Hebron massacre. It's been about a month now. When that happened, I thought, well, there goes this whole process. But it hasn't worked quite that way, has it?
No. Diplomatically, one could say that it's back on track, even though I think a more fitting analogy to a train would be a boat that is packed with too many people who hate each other and who are under the control of a captain who's not quite sure that his compass is reading quite correctly, and all they can do is try to stay afloat. But it's floating right now. The longer-term effect of the massacre was, in fact, just the opposite of what Dr. Baruch Goldstein may have intended. It has discredited the right wing of the settler movement. They have been totally abandoned and discredited in the wider Israeli body politic, and it is difficult to see how they will set the agenda for Israeli policy as they have in the past.
Bob Simon explaining well, as usual, the complicated matters of that part of the world. Thank you for joining us, Bob.
Charles, I'll miss you.
Thank you. I'll miss you too, old friend.
Please pass the all fruit.
Pass the Polaner all fruit.
Pass the Polaner all fruit.
Would you please pass the jelly?
Polaner all fruit is real fruit, sweetened only with fruit juice. You'll call it delicious, you'll call it remarkable, but please don't dare call it jelly. Polaner all fruit, the spreadable fruit.
The Nissan Altima has more front headroom than a Mercedes E320. It also has more rear headroom, more rear leg room, and more overall room. Yet it's priced $20,000 less, which means with this luxury sedan, you'll be able to add a room. The Nissan Altima. It's time to expect more from a car.
Imagine a processor that runs today's PC software faster than anything else and has the power for exciting new capabilities like multimedia and CD-ROM programs. That's the Pentium processor from Intel, the computer inside.
The whole idea of saving for retirement is to get ahead. But if your IRA has annual fees and mutual fund sales charges, it can set you back from the start. To make all your money work for you, put it into a Schwab no annual fee IRA. You can choose from over 200 no-load mutual funds and pay no sales charges. And this performance guide is yours free when you open an account. So to make all your IRA money work for you,
Maybe it's time to come to Schwab.
Bill Geist has been to a show of the weird and wonderful cartoons of Charles Addams. How's the show?
It's great, Charles. It was a lot of fun, and I just want to say this morning that you always said this job was going to be fun. You may have forgotten the conversation, but you called me about 7 years ago when I was a perfectly discontented newspaper columnist, as columnists are supposed to be. And you said, come on along, and you were calling from some payphone in a swamp in Louisiana or so, I imagine. And you said, come along, it'll be easy, and thanks to you, it has been easy. You've kind of elevated everything we've done here on the show, and you said it would be fun. That was the grabber right there. You didn't say that we'd have the best retirement package in the industry or anything like that. You said it would be fun, and it's been fun, and I just wanted to thank you this morning, and thanks for the great adventure and the wonderful ride. On to the next stop.
Normally, there is no talking allowed in a library, let alone laughter. Not so these days at the normally august New York Public Library, where record crowds are coming to see cartoons. The caption on this one reads, "It's the children, darling, home from camp." These are the collected works of the late Charles Addams.
The wonderful thing about all of these cartoons is the nonchalance. That's probably where his real genius lies. There's that subtlety and that sort of ease and that sense of something where you suddenly go, oh my God.
As in this one. Richard's tweed suit, gray jacket, summer formula. And there's Richard.
Exactly. Head back more towards the...
Paul Rudnick seems the perfect guide. The writer grew up an Addams fan and wound up with the same fiendish sense of humor.
They were so subversive and so evil, especially I think when you're a child to find something that's so not good for you and so unwholesome.
Charles Addams penned his first cartoons for the New Yorker magazine in the early 30s. It was the ultimate forum. A lot of us subscribed just for the cartoons.
That is me.
That is really funny. Any of the cartoons that revolve around children I found particularly delightful because they didn't have that cutesy pink and blue Peter Rabbit attitude towards Charles. I think he saw them as supreme beings, as far more intelligent than most adults because they weren't hampered by ethics or manners. It was more, no, childhood was a time for murder without conscience.
Adams turned things topsy-turvy, humanizing animals. The caption here reads, "For goodness sake, stop that chattering and let your father think." Or animalizing humans, rendering them Lilliputian or monstrously large. The caption here, better let them play through, Hartley. He altered them any way he saw fit.
Charles Addams also had a great sort of reverence for anyone with more than the normal number of limbs.
What sort of a man was Charles Addams? Well, we know one of his favorite boyhood activities was tormenting his grandmother. We know he liked cemeteries. He was married in a pet cemetery, and we know he liked parties. He held a big one right here at this library for 250 of his closest friends who danced to a Dixieland band after he died. Charles Addams was born in 1912 and immediately transplanted to this funereal floral arrangement.
To hang out here on rainy days. And
He grew up in Westfield, New Jersey, where Apostle Ron McCloskey is a kind of unofficial Addams historian. In here?
Yep, go right ahead.
Don't tell you, Charles Addams slept here?
I don't think so.
But as a boy, he did draw this skeleton, or so Ron says.
It's done in chalk and in pencil.
Wow.
It's almost life-size. I think it's over 4 foot tall.
Addams walked to school past houses like this one, which Ron says influenced his work.
This was one of the places where Charles Addams used to come to a lot when he was a little boy.
He was a little ghoulish.
Oh, sure, definitely. No, he was not your ordinary boy.
I think he was a product of a very suburban era where he saw the dark corners in the GE home of tomorrow. You know?
So husbands and wives were a great
theme.
This is I like this one.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think Charles Addams saw murder as the natural outcome of any suburban marriage.
This caption reads, "Wallace, isn't that already too deep for Glads?" Addams actually did have his wistful moments. Occasionally, he was almost sentimental.
Charles Addams was not in no way opposed to love and romance. He just enjoyed it when it happened to extremely unlikely people.
As a grown-up, Addams was known to friends as a jovial man, but then...
I know that he did also collect medieval firearms, all of which were kept in working order.
Right.
Yes. He's clearly a very, very happy man. You know, he's not some embittered recluse.
No.
He's just gleefully satanic.
They're creepy and they're kooky.
An Addams boom occurred in the 1960s with the arrival of the Addams Family TV series.
I am Mrs. Addams.
I love your dress. It's so tight.
Thank you.
Addams keeps coming back to haunt us, these days at the movies. Paul Rudnick wrote the screenplay for the current one, Addams Family Values.
Isn't he a lady killer?
Acquitted. Fresh air.
It was wonderful to write something where you didn't have to tack a moral onto the end. You didn't have to say, you know, and when you cheat, you're only cheating yourself, Billy.
Rudnick says Addams is needed now more than ever.
Oh, he's the godfather of all political incorrectness. They are bad taste incarnate, and therefore to be treasured.
Awash in saccharine greeting cards, designer jelly beans, and balloon delivery services, those industries of enforced cheer, it becomes necessary, every so often, to pour a little boiling oil on the carolers.
What now?
Who's Etienne?
Who cares? Come on.
Etienne fix everything. Who's Etienne?
He's a camel repairman.
What?
He's a mechanic.
You're kidding.
Hope he takes credit cards. Oh, he does.
Visa Gold can get you cash more places worldwide than any other card, even American Express.
Etienne fix everything.
Visa Gold.
Roses, I want roses. That's it. One stinking lousy bug-eating rose.
You know, orthosystemic rose and flower care can help.
Oh, yeah?
It fertilizes and protects against bugs. 2 jobs in 1 simple step.
That's all it takes?
That's all it takes. Ortho Rose Care. 1 step to gorgeous roses.
Ah, yes. 1 step. Did I mention I love roses?
Ortho. You're working too hard without us.
As a response to increasing competition, information technology was once an effective means of getting ahead. But today, almost everyone has the same technology. What Anderson Consulting has is a way to help you use technology to propel your strategy, so you can stop playing leapfrog and start playing quantum leapfrog.
Hi, I'm Mark Anderson with MCI. Every day, thousands of AT&T customers switch to MCI. Here's a customer who switched from a popular AT&T plan.
Betty, why'd you switch?
When I got my first AT&T bill, I ran right quick to MCI.
How's MCI doing for you? Are you saving money?
With Best Friends, my savings is $76 a year. My total savings per year is $195. That allows me to make longer telephone calls.
Give us a call and we'll prove to you how plan for plan.
State to state, MCI will save you money over AT&T.
Lift every voice. Now, on Easter Sunday morning, we're about to hear a choir, thousands of voices strong. I'm not suggesting that you close your eyes. You'll want to see as well as hear what happened only last night in Atlanta. But if you do happen to close your eyes, tell me if you don't, for some odd reason, see in your mind's eye fields and valleys of Celtic green. Wales is a land of sweet beauty and sweet voices, of mountains and valleys and villages nestled along the rivers Severn and Wye and Dee. It's a land of poetry and of song, and so it's fitting that Wales was the birthplace of a wild, poetic idea. The idea was to gather choirs from all over the world to raise their voices together at Atlanta's Georgia Dome.
First tenor, second tenor, baritone and basses.
Okay, you got 4. You got the 4 you need, Jack. Now you need to get that one back.
They can leave the section, but they have to be back in an hour.
I think I've bitten off more than I can chew. But for all that, there's a lot of joy and a lot of fun going on.
David Wyndham Lewis is the founder of the World Choir.
I think emotionally it is a chemistry, a cauldron that you don't know what's going to happen.
Probably make the hairs on your back and neck stand up, you know. You probably see a few tears in a few eyes.
In the hard-earned days of the mines, this was the real beginning and the hardships of fighting for better rights throughout the world. And singing was one of the things that brought it together.
Singers arrived in Atlanta from Cardiff and Swansea and Abertillery, and from Australia, Ireland, South Africa, and France. Welshmen mostly, who carried their love of singing wherever they roamed.
Let us rejoice, for we are young and free.
You don't have to be Welsh to sing with the World Choir. You just have to sing as if you were.
By sea, our lands abound with
at bus stops this morning. They sang on the bus. They've sang in the underground. Everywhere we go, they sing in the hotel. Can't stir for men singing.
As she wheeled her wheelbarrow through the streets broad and narrow.
Irish singers came from Dublin. And French singers from Brittany. And the Scots came from Aberdeen and Fife, claiming that real voices are Scottish voices.
We haven't got any reason for that. We just know we're better than the Welsh.
It's the Scottish air that we have. It's the Scottish air that we have. And the whiskey, of course.
Oh, yes.
That helps us to sing.
I'm afraid they got it all wrong. The Welsh are the singers. Everybody knows that.
Well, what about the gospel choirs of Georgia, as renowned for their singing as the Welsh? Their voices joined the others.
You stood the test. Just to know that you've done your best. Your word, Lord. I thank you for your word. I thank you for your work in my life.
I hope it be like a new heaven on earth. Just a taste of heaven coming on Saturday night.
And so it was in the Georgia Dome in Atlanta that a little taste of heaven was heard last night.
Just to know, every one of you out there done your best. And when you see Jesus, he's going to tell you, you stood your test.
I'm an inventor of one of the world's strongest fibers, Kevlar. I started the work in 1964. It proved to be a time of great joy, of frustration. We called it Fiber B. Kevlar is 5 times as strong as steel. It's used in ski racing, in helmet, golf, tennis rackets, bullet-resistant vests. I'm still working for DuPont. Every day is a new learning experience.
The new Accord EX Coupe. There's more horsepower. Handling and comfort are perfectly balanced. It has dual airbags and anti-lock brakes. We've taken it about as far as you can go. The new Accord EX Coupe from Honda.
Ever wonder what happens to your initial investment when you buy certain mutual funds through a broker and pay front-end fees? Well, by the time they charge you sales loads and account fees, it's actually costing you hundreds of dollars before you start. But now there's a better way. At Charles Schwab, you can choose from 200 well-known no-load mutual funds with proven track records.
You pay no loads and no transaction fees.
So if you want all of your money to work for you,
maybe it's time to come to Schwab.
Coffee?
Cappuccino.
Vanilla cappuccino.
Mocha cappuccino. Make that a decaf mocha.
Only Maxwell House makes cappuccino in all these flavors.
One cappuccino, one mocha decaf cappuccino. And for you, vanilla.
Maxwell House cappuccinos. The magic without the machine.
I am retiring from CBS News. This program, I am happy to say, will be in the good hands of Charles Osgood starting next Sunday morning. Charles, nobody has ever been welcomed as genuinely as you are welcomed here.
Well, thank you, Charles. A real honor to succeed you, not replace you on this broadcast. Nobody could replace you. But I'm glad to have this little opportunity to be on the screen with you to prove that we are two different people. Because people have confused us very often.
That's true, they have. I am the fat and bald one. You are the one who can play the piano and knows how to tie a bow tie.
No, the truth is that unless I realized that people out there understand what I understand to be the truth, it's a quote from an old song, which is that there will never be another you. And that most certainly is the case. But I also want to take advantage of this opportunity on behalf, I think, of millions of people out there who are your friends and who love you, to say, for all the grace that you have been to us over these years, Charles Corralt, thank you, and God bless you.
Oh, thank you, Charles. That means a lot coming from you. Well, we leave you this morning at Tule Lake on the California-Oregon border. Every dawn of every spring, the sky above Tule Lake is made joyous by the sight of snow geese flying north. My heart knows where the wild goose goes. Time for us to part, you and I. Saying goodbye to the viewers of Sunday Morning is like saying goodbye to old friends. That's the way I feel. Thank you for making me feel that way. I aim to do some traveling and reading and writing, and to watch this program the civilized way for a change, in my bathrobe while having breakfast. Charles Osgood appreciates poems and often commits poetry himself. There is a rhyme by Clarence Day which says what I want to say. Farewell, my friends, farewell and hail. I'm off to seek the Holy Grail. I cannot tell you why. Remember, please, when I am gone, 'twas aspiration led me on. Tiddly, widdly, toodaloo, all I want is to stay with you. But here I go. Goodbye.